On a chilly morning in late October, the quiet buzz of a government building in Washington, D.C., was broken by unexpected commotion. In a lobby, a Honduran janitor named Carlos was doing his usual routine, cleaning the floors and making sure everything was in order. Little did he know that his life was about to change dramatically in just a few moments. As Carlos moved from one corner of the lobby to the other, a group of ICE agents appeared, reportedly acting on a tip that raised suspicions about his documentation. The agents quickly confronted him. They believed he had forged documents needed for his job. A sense of panic filled the lobby as people watched the scene unfold. Eyewitnesses later described the arrest as both shocking and alarming, noting how their normal day turned into chaos within minutes. The officers gathered around Carlos, informing him of their claims regarding his paperwork. The atmosphere thickened with tension as onlookers wondered what would happen next. The arrest was swiftly captured on surveillance cameras, preserving every moment of this dramatic event for anyone who sought to review it later. However, what added to the twist of this story was that internal records would later reveal Carlos's true status. He was not just an ordinary janitor. He was a subcontractor working legally under Temporary Protected Status, TPS. This information raised eyebrows about ICE's approach to verifying immigration status before taking such serious actions. Why didn't they check? As news spread about the incident, many began to question not only Carlos's detainment, but also the responsibilities and processes that ICE should follow when dealing with individuals like him. This event marked the beginning of a larger conversation about immigration enforcement and its impact on everyday lives within communities across the nation. To understand the significance of Carlos's arrest, it is essential to grasp what Temporary Protected Status, TPS, means and how it affects eligible immigrants. Established by Congress, TPS is a humanitarian program that allows individuals from certain countries experiencing ongoing conflict, natural disasters, or other extraordinary conditions to remain in the United States legally. This status provides protection from deportation and enables recipients to work legally while their home countries are deemed unsafe for return. For many Hondurans like Carlos, TPS offers a lifeline. After hurricanes, earthquakes, and political upheaval devastated their homeland, the U.S. government recognized the dire circumstances and granted TPS to those affected. This status not only helps families rebuild their lives, but also supports local economies through legal employment. Carlos had been living and working in the U.S. under these protections, contributing to his community and providing for his family. However, TPS is not permanent. It is periodically reviewed by the government. Recipients must reapply to maintain their status and must meet specific requirements, such as not committing serious crimes. For those like Carlos who follow the rules, losing this protection can be devastating. Yet, even with legal documentation in hand, incidents like Carlos's arrest raise critical questions about how effectively ICE implements its policies. Critics argue that TPS holders should be protected citizens under the law, deserving respect and proper verification procedures instead of harmful assumptions. As news of Carlos's detainment spread throughout the community and beyond, many began advocating for better treatment of immigrants holding TPS status. This situation highlights an urgent need for awareness about immigration policies and their real-life impacts on individuals striving to live peacefully in a new home while navigating complex legal frameworks. As Carlos continued his cleaning duties in the bustling lobby of the government building, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. A group of ICE agents entered, their presence instantly commanding attention. Witnesses recalled a sense of unease as the agents approached Carlos with a serious demeanor, stating they were there to question his documentation. Eyewitness accounts describe how the agents surrounded him, their voices firm yet unyielding. They said something about forged papers, recalled one bystander, a woman who had just come in for an appointment. It felt like everyone was holding their breath. You could see the confusion on Carlos's face. He didn't understand what was happening. The tension in the air escalated as people began to whisper among themselves, some even pulling out their phones to record the unexpected scene. The arrest unfolded quickly. Agents demanded identification from Carlos, who immediately presented his documents that proved his legal status under TPS. However, despite this evidence, the agents proceeded with their detainment. "I thought they would check his papers first," another witness noted. But it seemed like they had made up their minds already. Bystanders expressed frustration at how swiftly ICE acted without verifying important facts that were crucial for understanding Carlos's situation. As Carlos was led away from the lobby in handcuffs, a mixture of emotions filled the room: shock, fear, and anger. The surveillance cameras captured every moment of this troubling encounter, but it raised larger questions about ICE's procedures. Did they conduct proper checks before making such a serious move? The incident quickly became a point of discussion beyond the lobby walls as community members and activists began to rally around Carlos's case, demanding clarity and accountability from immigration enforcement agencies like ICE. The arrest of Carlos was not only shocking for those present, but also became a focal point of public interest due to the presence of lobby cameras. These cameras captured every moment of the confrontation, creating a detailed record of what happened that day. As the footage emerged, it provided both clarity and crucial evidence regarding the actions of ICE agents during the incident. Eyewitnesses were eager to see the video, hoping it would corroborate their accounts. They felt it could showcase how unexpectedly the situation escalated and reveal whether ICE agents had followed proper procedures before detaining Carlos. Observers noted that having objective video evidence could help illuminate the truth amid varying perspectives surrounding immigration enforcement. The footage showed Carlos being approached by the ICE agents as he cleaned, appearing confused and concerned as they began to question him. Viewers could see that he attempted to show his documents immediately after they expressed suspicions about his status. The video brought into focus just how quickly things unfolded. Within moments, Carlos went from doing his job to being handcuffed and led away. Legal experts and community advocates viewed this video as pivotal evidence that might question ICE's protocols regarding verifying documentation before making an arrest. This footage could potentially protect vulnerable individuals like Carlos, one community leader stated. It highlighted ongoing debates surrounding accountability in immigration enforcement, especially concerning how agencies interact with those living legally under TPS. As discussions intensified in communities across the nation, many called for a full review of the footage not just as a record of this single event, but as part of a larger conversation about dignity and respect for immigrants. The incident prompted calls for reform in how ICE operates, aiming towards transparency and justice for all individuals regardless of their immigration status. The incident involving Carlos has sparked a critical examination of ICE's procedures concerning the verification of immigration status before making arrests. Questions arose about whether the agents involved adhered to established protocols, especially considering that Carlos held temporary protected status, TPS. Advocates and community leaders have called for transparency in the process, emphasizing the need to check federal databases before detaining someone based solely on suspicions. ICE's guidelines designed to ensure that individuals are treated fairly during enforcement actions. These procedures typically involve verifying an individual's status through national databases and other resources. However, in Carlos's case, it appears these steps may not have been adequately followed. Eyewitnesses reported that the agents did not seem to take the time to confirm his legal status before proceeding with the arrest, opting instead to act on hasty assumptions. Legal experts argue that effective enforcement relies heavily on thorough background checks and proper verification processes. It's unacceptable for ICE to rely on mere suspicion when a quick database check could provide clarity, stated an immigration attorney. This incident raises broader concerns about the potential for wrongful detentions based on incomplete information. The community's response has also focused on how systemic flaws can lead to significant harm for individuals like Carlos, undermining trust between immigrant populations and law enforcement agencies. Advocates are pushing for reform, urging ICE to adopt better training for agents to ensure they handle situations with appropriate diligence and care. As discussions continue, community members are calling for accountability and reforms that would ensure similar incidents do not occur in the future. The spotlight on ICE's practices serves as a reminder of the complexities surrounding immigration enforcement and the urgent need for policies that protect the rights of all individuals, regardless of their immigration status. As the fallout from Carlos's arrest continued, internal records were revealed that shed light on his true status as a legitimate subcontractor working in the government building. These documents confirmed that Carlos held temporary protected status, TPS, contradicting the ICE agent's initial claims about forged documentation. This evidence was crucial in demonstrating that Carlos was legally entitled to work in the United States and underscored the importance of verifying information before making such serious accusations. Community advocates quickly rallied around this finding, highlighting the systemic issues that can arise when proper procedures are not followed. This is not just about Carlos. It's about countless others who might be in similar situations, one local activist stated. They emphasize that undocumented claims can lead to wrongful arrests, causing fear and distrust within immigrant communities. The legitimacy of Carlos's status raised significant questions about why ICE failed to confirm his legal standing before detaining him. Critics pointed out that if established protocols had been adhered to, this situation could have been avoided entirely. Legal experts also weighed in, explaining that agencies must utilize available resources to obtain accurate information regarding an individual's immigration status. As news of Carlos's lawful employment spread, more voices joined the call for accountability and reform within ICE. Many began advocating for enhanced training for agents focused on recognizing and properly verifying TPS status. The incident challenged the perception of ICE as a protective agency and instead highlighted potential vulnerabilities within their enforcement procedures. With the internal records serving as pivotal evidence, community leaders began pushing for policy changes not only to protect individuals like Carlos, but to ensure the integrity of immigration enforcement overall. The hope was that this incident would spark a broader movement for reform, ensuring that all immigrants are treated fairly and justly in their interactions with law enforcement. In the wake of Carlos's arrest, local communities and immigrant advocacy organizations swiftly mobilized to respond to the situation. The shocking nature of the detainment ignited widespread outrage, leading to public statements from various groups denouncing ICE's actions and calling for immediate reforms. Activists emphasized that Carlos's case was not an isolated incident, but rather part of a troubling pattern of wrongful detentions affecting many immigrants. Community gatherings began to form, with rallies organized in support of Carlos. Signs bearing slogans like "Justice for Carlos" and "No More Deportations" were prominently displayed, while speakers shared their personal experiences with immigration enforcement. These events provided a platform for advocates to voice their concerns about how such practices undermine trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. "We need to stand together to protect our rights," one organizer proclaimed, urging attendees to engage in ongoing advocacy efforts. Social media also played a significant role in amplifying the community's response. Hashtags related to Carlos's situation began trending, prompting discussions about the broader implications of ICE's enforcement tactics and the need for policy changes. Advocacy groups utilized these platforms to share information about TPS and educate the public on immigrant rights, aiming to raise awareness and foster solidarity. Furthermore, legal experts involved in immigrant rights initiatives began providing resources for individuals facing similar situations as Carlos. They offered workshops on understanding TPS, navigating legal processes, and knowing one's rights when confronted by immigration agents. As pressure mounted, local officials faced inquiries regarding their collaboration with ICE and the mechanisms in place for protecting individuals like Carlos. The collective response from the community underscored a growing demand for accountability within immigration enforcement practices, highlighting a crucial moment in the ongoing fight for justice and fair treatment for all immigrants living in the United States. The incident involving Carlos's arrest has significant implications for future operations by ICE and how these actions may influence trust within immigrant communities. As activists and community leaders continue to scrutinize ICE's procedures, there's a growing awareness that public confidence in immigration enforcement is at risk. When individuals perceive that agents may not follow appropriate protocols, such as properly verifying immigration statuses, anxiety and distrust can quickly escalate within communities. Many advocates argue that if ICE is allowed to operate without stringent accountability measures, it could lead to more wrongful arrests like Carlos's. Such incidents can discourage immigrants from seeking help or reporting crimes, fearing that they may also become targets of enforcement actions. This chilling effect undermines the safety and security of immigrant communities, making it harder for them to integrate and contribute positively to society. Moreover, the heightened visibility of this case may prompt ICE to reassess its approach to enforcement, especially in areas with significant immigrant populations. Some local jurisdictions might choose to limit cooperation with ICE in response to community concerns, leading to a more fragmented approach to immigration enforcement across the country. As collaboration between local law enforcement and ICE becomes contentious, this may lead to complexities in handling cases that involve immigrants, thereby complicating law enforcement's overall mission. In light of Carlos's situation, there are calls for reform on a national level, urging lawmakers to implement policies that protect immigrants and establish clearer guidelines for ICE operations. These changes could foster a more collaborative environment where immigrants feel safe and empowered to engage with law enforcement without the fear of deportation. As the discussions about accountability continue, this incident serves as a critical reminder of a need for reform in immigration practices, aiming not only to protect individual rights, but also to rebuild trust between immigrant communities and enforcement agencies. By addressing these issues proactively, there is hope for a future where all individuals can live without fear and contribute to their communities. Carlos's arrest serves as a stark illustration of the broader flaws inherent in current immigration policies and enforcement practices. As awareness grows around his case, many are questioning not just the actions of ICE, but also how these actions reflect larger systemic issues within the U.S. immigration framework. The reliance on suspicion over verified documentation raises critical concerns about the protocols guiding agents in their decision-making processes. Current immigration policy has often been criticized for its aggressive enforcement tactics, which can disproportionately affect vulnerable populations. Many advocates argue that such policies fail to consider the human side of immigration issues, focusing instead on punitive measures that don't address the complexities of individual cases. Carlos's situation highlights the urgent need for policies that prioritize due process and respect for individuals' rights. Additionally, this incident sheds light on how immigrant communities are often viewed through a lens of suspicion rather than trust. When enforcement agencies operate without proper verification procedures, it sends a message that immigrants are inherently untrustworthy, further alienating them from society. This perspective complicates interactions between immigrants and law enforcement, leading to fear and reluctance to report crimes or seek help. Moreover, policymakers must grapple with the implications of these enforcement actions on community relations. A fractured relationship between immigrant populations and law enforcement can have lasting consequences, prompting individuals to disengage from civic life and undermining public safety overall. Calls for reform are growing louder as community organizations advocate for changes that ensure accountability within immigration enforcement. Moving forward, there is a pressing need to reassess existing policies and develop more humane approaches that acknowledge the contributions of immigrants while ensuring their rights are protected. Ultimately, addressing these systemic flaws will be crucial in fostering mutual respect and understanding between immigrant communities and government agencies tasked with their oversight. In conclusion, the arrest of Carlos underscores the urgent need for accountability and improved procedures within immigration enforcement agencies like ICE. His case reveals significant flaws in how these agencies operate, particularly their reliance on suspicion rather than thorough verification of documentation. This incident not only affects individuals like Carlos, who was detained despite holding legal status under Temporary Protected Status, TPS, but also has broader implications for immigrant communities across the nation. The public outcry following Carlos's arrest serves as a critical reminder of the importance of transparent practices and adherence to established protocols. Advocacy groups have rightly emphasized that relying on assumptions can lead to wrongful detentions, further eroding trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. It is essential that ICE agents are trained to verify immigration statuses effectively, ensuring that their actions reflect a commitment to justice and respect for individual rights. As the community rallies for reforms, there's a growing consensus that changes must be made at a policy level to prevent similar incidents in the future. Implementing clearer guidelines and accountability measures within ICE could foster a more inclusive environment where immigrants feel safe to engage with law enforcement without fear of unjust repercussions. Moreover, this case highlights the necessity for policymakers to evaluate existing immigration laws critically. The goal should be to develop humane policies that recognize the contributions of immigrants while safeguarding their rights. By addressing these systemic issues, we can work towards building a society where every individual is treated with dignity and respect. The ongoing discussions around Carlos's arrest serve as a call to action for all stakeholders involved, advocates, policymakers, law enforcement, and community members alike, to collaborate in fostering an immigration system that prioritizes fairness, accountability, and humanity for everyone living in the United States.